Good afternoon. My name is Faith Pinu, and this is the on-the-record portion of the Rockbridge Report at Washington and Lee University. I'm here with Delegate Ben Cline of the Virginia House of Delegates 24th District. So you're running for re-election this fall in just about 2 weeks.
Right.
And you do have one opponent, the independent candidate John Winfrey. So I know you've run about 3 times, I think, unopposed in the last 15 years that you've been a delegate. Is that correct?
I've been opposed more than I've been unopposed.
And right.
This is my 6th opponent.
Okay. So how has running against John Winfrey affected your campaign or affected the last few months for you, if at all?
Well, an independent candidate is a little different than a major party candidate, although Mr. Winfrey affiliates with the Democrats and his philosophies are very close to the Democratic Party. But it does get a little less attention, I think, from the state party, and from what I can tell. But you'd have to ask him about that. For me, it's the same campaign each and every time. I get around and talk to voters as much as I can, and listen to the concerns that they have, and if they believe that I'm doing a good job and want to send me back, then they will.
Okay. So with an independent opponent, do you feel that you need to emphasize more Republican values, or do you feel you need to reach across the aisle more to Democrats?
Well, I never really tailor a campaign for an opponent as much as I just talk about what I've been doing down in Richmond, the issues that are of concern to the voters when I encounter them, and let the chips fall, so to speak. We've been working hard to address education, particularly higher education down in Richmond. I've been doing a lot of work there, doing a lot of work on domestic violence issues, on the criminal law subcommittee, and a lot of work on transparency. That's another area that I've been focused on.
So can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing in transparency? What specifically are you pushing over there?
Well, right now I'm pushing the recording of all votes. In the House, motions to table bills, to lay them on the table, are voice votes. And all the other votes are recorded votes. And I think that motions to table, which are increasingly common down in Richmond, should be recorded as well. So trying to get a bill passed, I was told it needed to be part of the rules of the House that are adopted at the beginning of every session. So if I'm fortunate enough to be reelected, that's going to be one of my goals, is to get that included in the new rules package under the new speaker, likely to be Kirk Cox. And then in past years, up until a couple years ago, the budget would land on our desks and we would be told that we had an hour or two before we voted on it. So I successfully pushed to get a 48-hour review period, and also to put the budget online so that everybody can see where your tax dollars are going.
Gotcha. What other specific agenda items would you look to push if you get 2 more years in office?
Well, one of our major accomplishments has been the beginnings of an online education program, essentially helping rural students to access higher education across the Commonwealth by taking courses online. It's cheaper, it's more affordable, it's more accessible, and of course Virginia has the best professors in the whole country, so we get more people getting more access to this great opportunity.
Awesome. So there are some issues that I've been hearing kind of out in the field, talking to Republicans and Democrats both, in reporting for Rockbridge Report, and one of the main issues that has repeatedly come up is the topic of Confederate monuments and what to do with them. So I was wondering, what do you think about either removing or putting up more historical context, or leaving alone historical monuments that are already in place around Virginia?
Well, I think that the monuments should stay. I think that where appropriate, historical context can be added, but that it's critical that we are able to look back at our history, learn from it. That's the only way that we can successfully move forward. And another problem that we have is in today's society is shutting down of debate and shutting down of free speech. And I think that where we can encourage a conversation, we'll be able to resolve differences a little bit more easily and learn from each other.
So is there anything specifically that you think Lexington or Rockbridge County should do to either further that conversation that you're talking about or put up more historical context? Or
Well, we're uniquely positioned to be a part of that conversation. Robert E. Lee was not just a general in the Civil War. When I was growing up here, he was known more for his presidency of Washington College and establishing the journalism school, establishing the law school, affiliating it with Washington and Lee. You know, he's got a long history here in this area, and so I think that we have a great opportunity to share that history with the world.
there are a couple other top issues that I've been hearing that I wanted to run by you. Another one is healthcare in Virginia. So the state shut down Governor McAuliffe's proposal for a Medicaid expansion earlier this year. Where would you like to see healthcare going in the next couple of years in the state?
Healthcare has gone in the wrong direction, in my view, after the enactment of the ACA or Obamacare, because it forced prices higher, limited options, and forced insurers to eliminate certain policies for certain people. And you see a lot of insurers leaving the marketplace. So we need to reverse that. We need to get more competition, lower prices, more access for people. One of the major solutions that I've proposed is to enable cross-state lines purchase of insurance. Virginia has, states had the opportunity under the ACA to contract with other states to one-on-one purchase health insurance from other states. I passed legislation this year through the House. It died on a tie vote in the Senate to enable us to seek out other states to purchase insurance across state lines. The Trump administration has taken that one step further and proposed national enabling of purchase across state lines. So I think that's going to be a great opportunity to shop for lower prices for the policies that work for the family.
Okay. And the last issue I wanted to make sure I ran by you while I have you is about gerrymandering. And of course, the census isn't until 2020, but already there are loads of efforts to create a nonpartisan commission in Virginia to draw district lines. Are you in support of that? What do you think about the issue of gerrymandering and how it will affect Virginia residents? Well,
I take my role as a representative of the people very seriously. So when I go to Richmond, I try and communicate their views and their concerns effectively. And I'm concerned that if we establish some kind of independent or bipartisan, nonpartisan commission, you're going to take that responsibility away from the representatives of the people, the legislators, and put it in the hands of unelected people who may have hidden agendas. We don't really know what their goals are. So there's just as much opportunity for problems to arise under a nonpartisan or an independent commission as there would be under a legislative process. But at least with a legislative process, you have transparency, you have accountability, and those are issues that I would want to see improved upon. We can always improve transparency in the process. We can always improve try and depoliticize the process. But we want to leave it in the hands of the representatives of the people, and that would be the legislature.
So you're hoping to be part of that process after the next election cycle? You have to
well, I'd have to be reelected a couple more times before redistricting, but I've been a part of the redistricting process back in 2011, and it enabled me to represent Bath County for the first time, and that's great.
Well, that's it for the Rockbridge Report on the record portion with Delegate Ben Cline. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.